Yo, what's up? Welcome to the Fully Charged Podcast,
Two
episode
times.
2.
Times.
It's your boy Porter, and to my right got Mayo,
What up, what up?
aka Two Hands, and to my left got Chili Bean, aka Norman.
Disrespect, I don't like. The name is Chillin'.
Norman.
Did you catch last time he talked about the Church of Norman?
I said it like 5 times.
In the video.
You ain't watching us back. But today, we're going to be tackling something a little bit more
Deep.
deep. So, had to start off with a little good laugh. Today, we're going to talk about emotions.
Men's emotions.
That's what I was about to say. That's why I had made that. Because I was about to say particularly.
My bad.
That's why I had made that.
I was about to say particular, and then he's like, men's emotions.
I don't know if we can do this.
It's too late. We already started. And bro, my joint sound like trash.
How can you hear yourself?
Because I got headphones on.
Where?
Headphones
In my ear.
Oh.
We gotta do something because something gotta go up on Tuesday.
We filming tomorrow?
Heck no, we ain't feeling tomorrow. We doing it right now. This is the first 5 minutes.
I'm starving.
Come on, let's
I'm
focus.
about to Uber eat.
Well, you see, this is the emotion that's coming out. Hungry.
You hear
No, I didn't.
That's
Alright, so you started last time. Let's start with Mayo.
Yo, what up?
So, men's emotions. Why do men act the way that we act?
To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I think happens is that men just want to put this tough exterior on. Everything good?
Yeah.
All right.
Press the wrong button, but go ahead.
I hope y'all can hear me this time.
Oh yeah, you good.
But
I'm gonna sound like trash.
well, good. No, I'm just playing. But no, I really think men's emotions are, I guess, scarce because they don't really think they should have emotions.
Mm.
I know just me growing up, it's almost like if you had emotions, you were gay or you were like looked at as a less than because you cried about something or
Yeah.
because you talked about your feelings. And to be honest, not to bring race into it, but I'm gonna bring race into it. I think it has in the black community. I think it's very unheard of for one to go to another and say, like, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, you need to deal with that and don't bring it back up to me again. It's almost that's the sense I got anyway growing up, and it's almost like you need to toughen up and figure this out. And that may be because I grew up in a house without like a dad. I mean, my stepdad was there, but yeah. So,
But yeah, to piggyback off that, maybe that's why it's kind of looked down in the black community because, you know, some of us don't have fathers or father figures, or the father figures or fathers we have in our lives
yeah,
are like not good examples.
right,
So they push us to be like, you gotta be tough. You gotta be the man in the house, no matter how old you are.
right.
So Chili, what you think?
Me personally, I feel like we're talking like where does men's emotions come from?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that men's emotion is just something that's been going on for generation to generation, kind of like a curse, to where we, just like, I'm agreeing with y'all, just like, it's just, I feel like it's more of, showing emotions, is a huge sign of weakness, in a guy. And if we show it to another person, it's like our pride is being killed.
Yeah.
Pride is something that men have been struggling with for years, and still struggling to this day. Not to say that females can't have pride either, but it's majority heard of by males. And showing that kind of weakness or that emotion can do some damage to someone's pride of having another male figure or having people you want to look up to you and all of that to see you as, oh man, this dude he's too weak, he's not strong enough for the job, or he's not strong enough to provide, or he's this, he's that, or sad to say even like Mayo said, or he can be gay and all of that. Like, showing emotions can have so many bad effects in our society today, just like it would back in those generations where kings was using the opposite of sad emotions to gain kingdoms. They was using anger, using their toughness, using straight power to get to where they had to say that I'm a man.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like is wrong with today, is that we always, because they make movies on it nowadays of showing those examples of how men got their power, or what some of the rules of staying in power. Speaking of from a gang point of view, they don't like to show weakness. A gang member wouldn't want to show, hey, I want to do this. The way that they would show their emotions is turning up with their crew, having a good time, instead of just grieving. And if they do, I'm pretty sure a lot of guys do this in their times. They want to grieve on their own, like by themselves, so no one can see them. It's just a lot of people just do it to, a lot of men do it because they do not want to be looked at as weak in any view.
Yeah, and I want to jump in here. I don't know if what was I about to say? If somebody showing their emotions is the same as somebody being weak, or on the other side of that, somebody not showing their emotions is somebody who is powerful. I think you're saying that's what people think, but I really don't. I just don't think those compared to each other. Like somebody, I wouldn't say that. Just going back to your example of the gang thing, I wouldn't say that a gang member trying to show his power is him not showing his emotions. If that makes sense. I just see that as two kind of separate things. Like he's showing his power, but that's not necessarily him not showing his emotions. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Do y'all get what I'm saying or not?
Kinda, but I think what Chillin's saying is they're showing their power by showing their lack of emotion, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, so they're showing their power by showing their anger, and not by
Retaliation.
showing their sadness.
But so here's my point. I don't think, and maybe I could be wrong. Somebody could look this up. I don't know. But anger is an emotion, right? Anger is an emotion, right?
Anger is an emotion.
Right, and so that's what I'm saying. Like it's not necessarily that he's not showing emotions. He's just not showing his, I guess,
More sensitive.
emotions. That's
Yeah,
a great
and
word for it.
I said that, but I said sad. I didn't say sensitive though. So he's not showing his sad emotions, because I guess basically what we're mainly talking about is why don't men show their sensitive side.
But I don't even think it's just that, because men don't show their sensitive side well either. So I think it's all in one. That's my point here. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get you.
I don't think it needs to, because I think men do a great job of showing their power, you know.
Which is the unsensitive side.
Not necessarily. That's where I'm getting at. Like just because you have power doesn't mean it is or isn't an emotion.
So he's saying just like men are excellent at flexing their power, but men are bad at even showing the more rough emotions. So like anger will turn into a fight.
Negative, always, yeah.
Yeah. Or like it will turn into a verbal altercation instead of a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit. A little bit.
But what you was talking about is even something in like the in the military community, they don't show their emotions. That's why, you know, I don't know if y'all seen it or not, but it's like average of 22 veterans kill themselves a day. And
No, I've never seen that.
it's because, you know, they kind of say like it's okay to come talk to somebody, but you gonna be looked at like, oh, this dude's a weenie if he goes talk to somebody. It feel like you can't handle it no more. You know what I'm saying? But I don't lost my train of thought. But even something you said earlier, well, what Chillin said earlier about pride, I know, well, my father is in my life, but he wasn't in my house. So I felt like my pride made me feel like, all right, I'm the man. Even when I was young, like 11, 12 years old, I'm the man. So I'm going to protect this house. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to be what a man is supposed to be, even though I've never learned. So that just ended up being like, all right, you mess with my mom, I got to lay hands on you. Type joint, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But let's move along. What was the next question?
I guess we were talking about how the next one would definitely be how do we deal with our emotions? We, meaning men, like basically the outcome of it. Like what would happen if we show our emotions? And we kind of answered a little bit of it, but because we're just speaking of what would happen from seeing other people or whatnot. I want to talk about it from our point of view. Like what happened when we show our emotions.
That's all we can do. Talk about what we know.
Yeah, because me, because I speak a lot from everything I just said, even besides the generation thing, because obviously I wasn't born back in those days, alive back in those days. But I speak a lot from our point of view. A lot of people that know me, my choice of emotion that people can see rather than seeing the sad side of me is anger. And I show anger, one, I will say intimidation, but a lot of times it's not intimidation because I mean what I say most of the time. But I am showing the intimidation side to show you like, yo, back off. Like, I'm not the one to be playing with right now. You're in my space. I need some time to be by myself. You're pissing me off. That's how I use mine. I use mine as an example for power. Not in the power to rule over you, not in the power to make you belittle, but a power for me to let you know, hey, I'm not playing right now. That's how I show my emotions quick with anybody. Even when it comes to like a death in the family or something like that, like I still put that same emotion on the field as an example for people to see. Like, I'm hurt right now, just let me be. And then I do my crying and stuff. This is just me being honest with y'all, and they already know. But I do all my crying and stuff in secret a lot of times. Now, some people, I do let's see. Again, these two know, and a lot of my other friends have seen it, and close people have seen me cry. And that's where I get all my opinions on this about. That's why I feel like and why do I do it that way? It's not to show that I'm weak or nothing. It's just I do it that way because one, I feel like, hey, like it's no need to show. Well, I guess it is just like to show that I'm not weak, but it's also to show like, hey, this is how I express myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm expressing myself to let you know right now, like, I have the power right now. In a way, but not. It's confusing because I'm not saying like, hey, I got the power to be over you. It's just saying I'm in a state right now where you don't want to mess with. We're not showing like interaction, emotions on a sensitive level. That's my way of showing my sensitive emotions.
But that was no sensitive emotions.
That is sensitive when I'm like angry though.
That's not sensitive.
In a way, I mean, in a
How?
way, it's because if I'm triggered because you're saying something wrong to me, or you're saying something that I don't like, but you don't know that, then you're finding out that that's a sensitive subject for me.
But so what you're saying is
And
that
that's just an example. I'm not just talking about everything.
if somebody were to say something wrong to you, like your mama got a fat butt, then they would obviously know that that's
Y'all
something that's
examples
wrong
for
to
me.
you.
I won't pause. Y'all examples on my
Just
last
listen to
episode.
what I'm saying.
Trash.
It doesn't matter.
This
It should be
episode,
passed.
my mom's butt.
That was just
for-
an example, bro. Mama Tracy, I love you. I ain't trying to talk about you. But listen.
I did it.
So, but if somebody were to come up to you, let's say your dog died, and dang,
That's sensitive subject.
sorry,
My
let's
dog
say,
did
all right,
die.
let's say,
Rest in peace.
you
man.
okay, let's
He
say,
committed suicide.
no,
They didn't need to
there
know all
wasn't
that.
no suicide.
Right. He committed suicide.
Let's
He
say,
was tired of that stinking trash in the house.
That was before I even had my own place.
let's say your dog died, and somebody, a friend of yours, didn't know that, and they came up to you talking about your dog and all this and that. Yes, that's a sensitive subject, but they wouldn't have known that, and if you would have just reacted negatively to them, they wouldn't know why you're doing that. You get what I'm saying? And so that's why I say I feel like as men we don't know how to use our emotions
The right way.
the correct way. Correct.
First, if your last statement to me was, that's why your dog died.
That's not
What
what
I'm
I
saying,
said.
that's not what he's saying. He's saying if your dog died and somebody came up to you, it's like, oh, how's your dog doing? And you
Just flipped out on him,
yeah.
like, man, don't ask me about my dog, or something like
Nah,
that.
I
Just
ain't
don't talk to
on
him
that
at all.
I ain't on that extent.
Yeah, or like turn up on them, just like.
It's more of, I agree. I'm speaking of,
But
this
that's-
is my,
Yeah, that's you.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
That's how I do it. Now, for people out there that see this, or their friends I don't know that see me and be like, oh, you that guy from that show? Don't be scared to talk to me because I ain't like that. I'm just speaking of it from as a,
Don't talk about his dog. That's what he's trying to say.
Or his mama's brother, apparently.
that's definitely apparently. What are you talking about? If they have the balls to come up to me and be like, yo, your mom's butt big, boy,
How be
they gonna be the old Chelina, dead and gone. But anyway, that's just my point of view of how, like, why I would rather show power instead of my weakness at the time,
See,
so I can give a message out.
but I understand because that is probably more so how I used to be. Like, I wouldn't show nobody no emotions. I would keep that for my private time because I didn't want to put off any weakness. But now it's like, I don't really be feeling the need to cry in front of nobody. But if something happened and I started crying in front of somebody, I wouldn't feel like I'm weak for crying in front of somebody. Because at the end of the day, I'll still lay hands on you with some tears in my eyes. So you don't gotta be, show power by being angry. I think you can show power through your actions.
And again, I'm not saying you have to. I was just speaking from my point of view.
Yeah.
That's the way that I use my power.
So, Porter, what's your point of view?
Yeah.
So like, of why? No, we already went to why.
We were talking about why.
What the outcome is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's your
yeah.
outcome?
Dang, because I instantly forgot. But, So like back in the day, like I said, I used to feel like, well, I still feel like this, but at a young age, I felt like I had to be the man of the house. So I felt like if I showed emotions, that would be showing weakness, and somehow I'd be letting my family down.
Mm.
So I had to be, well, I felt like I had to be a pillar in my family, and you know, you can't be a pillar and have cracks, because the whole crib gonna fall down.
Yeah.
So I felt like that would be the outcome, and I think where my mind switched, my junior year at the state wrestling tournament, I got 8th. But that whole summer, I had been working super hard. Like, I know I'm finna win this joint this year. And when I got 8th, like, shook the dude's hand and I ran to the locker room and I started crying because I was like, yo, I worked so hard. I put in all these hours. I did the extra stuff. I put my all into this. And I let my coach down because he was there with me doing all this stuff. But when he came in, it was like, you know, I wouldn't trade this experience for nothing. And I know you did your best. So you don't gotta, you know, cry about nothing. That was like, dang. That just flipped the switch in my head for some reason. Like, okay, I can show emotions and not have the fear of being perceived as weak, and I can get emotional support from other people. I don't have to rely on myself.
Mm.
So, what about you, Mayo?
So for me, excuse me. For me, it's always been kind of this thing of you got to be tough.
Yeah.
I grew up in some the projects basically, and I mean I remember like it was yesterday, the first day. I had on these like pants that was a little too small for me because I'm big, I'm tall, and so I got on these pants, and this one girl, it's just a group of people, yeah, literally, a group of people sitting outside like watching us move everything in, and this one girl just said to all the other people sitting there, "Oh, look at him, he got high waters on." And so that's something that's very simple, but that's something that will hurt a 9-year-old boy that's just
Yeah.
moving into this neighborhood thinking, oh, it's gonna be a fun time,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden just hearing that and knowing like, oh, you got to put your tough shirt on, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so from that point, probably until I was like 17, it was hard for me to show emotions because it was like you're looked at as weak, like we were talking about. You're looked at as weak,
Mm-hmm.
and as just to say it frankly, a pussy if you show your emotions, you know. And it was like I was already big, so if I was big and not tough, then you
Against the teddy bear.
yeah you were
What'd you say?
yeah.
Against the teddy bear.
Oh,
I thought you said something totally different.
I sure did.
I heard something else.
Man,
But it's
it's
You a gangster titty.
That's what I heard. Against the titty man. I was like, what? All right, bruh. It's like, no. And so you just kind of you just kind of had to put on this tough persona.
Yeah.
And that ended up causing me to hold all my emotions in. Being the second oldest of 7, it was just like I couldn't show emotions. Like I didn't want my brothers to be weak. I didn't want to be looked at as weak. The whole Mayo family would have been looked at as weak if we, and that was all dependent on me almost. And so that was kind of tough growing up. But when I turned 17, I went to this camp and we talked a lot about different things. And I came back and it was just, it made me understand, and my mentors and people in my life helped me understand that it's okay to to show your emotions, that doesn't mean you're weak.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's why my stance on this is like, emotions doesn't necessarily determine power or
Yeah.
weakness.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think you're more powerful when you can show your emotions. You're sad and good and any emotion, and when you can show them well. I know this family who it's a family of 3 kids, and they got one on the way actually, so about to be 4. But he just does so well teaching his kids the right and wrong things to do, and not like not trying to be the tough dad, but be the firm. Like I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm happy, I'm glad,
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of you. All of those emotions, all those different, I love you, different things like that. You know, it's not just like, oh, you did bad, you get a whooping, you go upstairs.
Yeah.
But instead it's, hey, you did this wrong. I am or I'm not gonna spank you, and you need to sit down right here for doing it. Or so it's just a different way of expressing yourself to people, whether
Yeah.
it's family, your kids, just random people you see. And so that's my take on it. I just feel like it shouldn't be something that is bottled up so much, because just speaking from my personal experience, that will cause more pain and more grief than necessary.
Yeah, because I feel like it's better to deal with emotions when they come
Mm-hmm.
instead of, so it's like, not chilling's trash,
I
but
was gonna say, you
trash.
got to give another children example.
But it's like, you're trash. If you take it out when it's full, then your house isn't going to stink. But if you let it sit, your crib is going to smell like trash.
Yep.
So it's better to deal with it when it comes up rather than holding that joint in, because you bound to explode.
Well, I feel convicted. I feel like I should go ahead and mention this, but just for me, right now in my life, it's a lot going on.
Mhm.
And actually, right before I came to do this, I was just feeling like you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna cut back on everything, and really, I think it has a lot to do with that. Like just letting stuff kind of build up, whether it's physical stuff. Like right now, sorry Keisha, but our bedroom is a mess, and it's mainly because of me. Because I just take my work clothes off and sit them on the dresser instead of either hanging them up because I don't wash them clothes if they ain't dirty, or putting them in a dirty clothes basket. And so it just almost, you got to keep things straight. You're right. You got to deal with them as they come up and not try to just hold them off and hold on to that. I just wanted to say that's very cool that you said that, because I'm just like thinking in my head, like things start to get more and more frustrating and the more I build it up and let it just kind of sit there,
Yeah.
because you're just like, oh, this happened 4 days ago and now it's happening again, or
Mhm.
whatever it is, instead of just talking about it right then and there, or fixing it right then and there, if you can. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah,
Oh,
keep
no,
going.
you straight. But that leads into our next point. How can men show their emotions better? Or you can answer, why are men so bad at showing emotions?
Mhm.
Mr. Bean?
How can men show emotions? I don't know. I look at it as also like an form of being real. Because if you're, I mean, I wouldn't call you fake. If you're not showing like your real emotions and anything, but in a way, you're not showing something that's real, that's happening in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I do agree 100%. Holding stuff in just explodes on you. I'm a living witness to that. Where a situation happened in my life. I just feel like you just gotta be honest right there in the jump. How can you do it is, I really don't have an answer to that one. Cause that was just, you gotta practice it. Just literally like, it's easier said than done for sure, but
Yeah.
you just definitely gotta be real when it happens. I mean,
See, like, yeah, that's for real. It's hard. And I understand people are probably going to say, like, you can't show your emotions to everybody. And I completely agree with that. Because some people will use your emotions against you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll use it like, so if I vented to somebody and they were just like, well, that's why your mama's feet look like concrete blocks. And I'm be upset.
Dang, bro.
My mom's feet really do look like the road. But
She gonna get you, bro.
yeah, she was smoking.
I'll be alright, I like to know. She can't get no more apartment. But you can't not transparent, but you can't be open with everybody. But with that being said, the people you can be open with, you should be open with.
Mm.
Because, like we all been saying, if you hold it in, it can bubble up. So I think you should be open with the people you can be open with. Because I know, but I don't know for sure, but most everybody got at least one good friend, one confidant, one person that has their best interests in mind. So if you dealing with something, just go there and be like, yo, Chili, yo, Mayo, this happened to me, and I feel like this. So you can either get that real raw, like, this is your fault, you need to deal with it, or you can get that support, like, dang, that sucks, I'll be praying for you. Or there's this scripture that says, you know, it's all right to feel like this, so just take your time to be sad or upset, or your time to grieve, and then that season will pass. But I think that's how we can be real.
Well, see, I think that's true. All that what you just said is true, but I also think, or at least from my experience, going to somebody, I almost want them to fix it or tell me how to fix it.
Mm.
And a lot of times you either don't get that or they tell you something that won't work for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm.
And so, because all they have to base it off is their life experience, and it might not be that same way for your situation. And so that, I think that's a stigma, at least in my life, that's a stigma on going to other people, is because you're like, I feel like I'm going to tell them all this stuff and they're not going to be able to do anything about it. And it's just almost like I just wasted my breath.
Mm.
But I want to tell you guys, is you're not wasting your breath. Just speaking it out to somebody else will help you eventually. And I had to learn that myself. Even just simply asking for somebody to pray for you and tell them what to pray for. It will help you out. And if you're not a praying person, then just speaking to somebody will at least in my experience, again, it will help you out.
That's what I was going to say, because I know for me, sometimes, like, people don't have the answers right when you ask them, or their answers don't fit your life. Like, going back to last week, Chillin finally took his trash out, and I asked Chillin, yo, how you start taking your trash out?
He's lying.
And he's like, every time I throw something away, I take the trash out. And I start to try to do that, but then I start spending mad money on trash bags. I'm like, okay, that don't work for my life, but I feel some peace for just speaking it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can we rewrite the narrative?
Stop talking about trash.
Start taking your trash out. Be
Bro,
open with us.
y'all, real talk, bro, that's not funny. Because people gonna start believing that crap. Anyway,
Believe in what?
what's the question again?
How can we take our trash out?
On that note, goodbye.
What are you
What
doing, bro?
you can't turn the mic on like that. You about to unplug it. Nah, but for real, how can we change the narrative? So, how can we change it from men can't show emotions to it's cool to show emotions, or it's alright?
And to show them where.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people out there don't. There's some people out there that really don't have anybody to talk to. So I don't know if that will always be the answer. Cause even still, when I have like my closest dudes with me, like y'all and other people, I still feel like that sometimes.
But not to cut you off, is that something that you perceive as true? Like I can't talk
Is
to
it
them?
true? No. But do I feel like that sometimes? Yes. But I do feel like there's some people that's actually in that lifestyle to where they literally don't have anybody to talk to.
But even with that,
Unless they pay money to see a therapist.
there's free like therapists,
Counselors and stuff.
yeah, counselors.
Well, I mean, alright, yeah, in that way, then yes, I encourage you to always like share your thoughts with somebody. Cause what I do, cause where I was going with that is what I do in that situation, to show my emotions, is I turn it into a prayer. Whenever I'm dealing with something that's hurtful or dealing with something that's sad, the first thing I do is run to God with it. And I pray to Him about it. And if I'm praying in the circle in front of everybody, I don't care. Because when I'm praying, it's just me and the Lord. And I'm talking to Him and I show my emotions that way. Giving people a chance to come in my life and give me advice, to be able to speak out and share what they experienced through that. So one of my examples is, one of my answers to it is speak out. Whenever you're feeling something, feeling some type of way, let that thing be known. Whether it's to that person that did you wrong, or to a friend, or just somebody, or anybody. You see a conversation that's happening, you have something that need to be said, don't be ashamed or don't be scared to say what's on your heart.
Yeah.
Let it out. And yeah, just don't be afraid. Always find a way to get your voice out there. My way is prayer. You just gotta find your way, but regardless, to show your emotions, let it be known by voice. Let it be known by action. Just share what's on your heart. That's
True.
my example.
Word. Yeah, I agree with that. Just speak out. Because I know, but I don't know if there's free counseling and stuff. I'm pretty sure it is. But
The first day is free.
second day they gonna run up the check.
And then they counting the first free day.
Psych, it ain't free. But I know, one of my jobs in the Army was to listen to people's problems. Like, a lot of people would come to me because they didn't want to go to the chaplain because they didn't want to talk to an officer. They wanted to talk to somebody else enlisted. So, just find somebody, man. And I'm going to speak from my point of view because, yeah, that's all I got. In the black community, we gotta not talk down on people because they do talk out. Because they do want to go get professional help. Or they are willing to be vulnerable in front of you. We can't keep on making fun of people. We can't keep on being like, nah, bro, you soft. We need to encourage it so people can feel like they can be heard, feel like it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel happy, it's okay to laugh, it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel like a little bit depressed sometimes. It's okay to feel all these things. I feel like we need to be more close knit. But that can be with everybody. Everybody needs to be more close knit. We need to stop making fun of other people's vulnerability and what we perceive as weakness.
And also to let it be known, like, you're going through the same thing. Like, a lot of times people can feel alone, and ashamed, like they're the only ones that's dealing with it. If you're the person on the other end of seeing somebody struggling with their emotions, let it be known, like, you experience the same thing, like, you struggle with it too. That goes a long way to help somebody show their emotions, that they're not alone and they're not the only one that's going through whatever pain or feeling they're going through. So,
And I think to add to that, to also share with them, those same people, that the ways that you deal with it, you know,
Yeah.
because some people deal with it differently. Most people deal with it differently. You know, some medications might work for some people who are struggling with depression, whereas maybe going to the gym might work for another person, or just going on a walk might work for another person, or just talking might work for a different person. So it's different ways to deal with it, and I think that's something that needs to be shared and talked about too, kind of freely.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, fellas?
nah, just, y'all can either take it or leave it. But nah, I think this was a good episode. Just challenge y'all to this week. First and foremost, share and give us y'all's input, letting us know y'all opinions on emotions. Guys, especially, let us know, especially older men, because y'all been in the game longer than us young bucks. And ladies too.
Don't look at
it would be-
on me because I'm young.
It would be dope.
Second Timothy.
412.
It would be dope also to hear from a female's point of view, of their view on our, when I say our, meaning men's emotion, like what they feel like. So give us feedback. You know our Facebook, you know our actual website.
Well, now let's go ahead and
In
remind
case you don't,
Yeah.
Facebook, fully charged.
Yep.
YouTube, fully charged.
Uh-huh.
The Fully Charged Podcast. Don't get it mixed up with that other fully charged stuff.
We ain't talking about cars. We
and
talking
all
about
that.
real stuff.
Talking about real life stuff from Roanoke, VA, baby. All day.
We all don't drive.
Yeah, I got a car outside.
Alright, but
we all don't drive legal. Used to. I'm talking about myself.
I used to drive dirty, but now I'm clean, got license and
I
everything.
was dirty for at least 3 years.
You did.
Dang. I ain't never been dirty.
Shoot, my tags were expired for 2 years and I got away with that.
You know this is public, right?
They good now.
They watching you now.
They
Hey,
good now.
I got insurance now. I'm good. I got my license.
I'm
boy.
set. They can't get me.
Nah, but then I forgot to mention Instagram.
And I got a
The-
ticket for that, so they got me already.
Hey, they can
$600.
double up.
_fully_charged. Right? Is it podcast?
No.
I'm not on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram,
but-
yeah, it's podcast of that.
Yeah, _fully_charge_podcast.
They might not have heard you. You gotta repeat that.
The link will be on there.
_charge_. Man, y'all know what it is. Y'all know already.
The link will be under the video.
Oh, snap.
Whatever it is. Did you say website? Fullycharged.me.
.me, not .com, .me, M
Yeah.
to the E.
Because we fully charged, me fully charged. Got it, I mean.
And Juanique, I'm coming for you with that challenge, baby boy.
Oh yeah, that lemon
coming
challenge
for you.
is done. I'm in there too. Just gotta buy a lemon.
Hey,
Let's
I
buy
already-
one together.
Let's do it.
And
I got half of
Let's
one.
do it.
It's
Hey,
been
let me
sitting in
get
my
that.
refrigerator though for like a couple days.
Oh,
Nah,
no,
that's
I'm
super
good.
sour. That's cheap.
We'll buy one. Cause I'm
Alright.
broke.
But alright, from the fully charged crew to you,
Hey.
we